Hello and welcome. This is Smart Systems. We are glad you could join us today. Just a very quick reiteration of the ground rules. Those of you who are with us every week probably know these by heart. So every week we host these online events and we try to give you as much quality information as possible within a relatively brief period of time. We start with a 20 to 30 minute presentation and then we open it up for Q&A, another 10, 15 minutes of questions and answers. We love answering questions. Please use the built-in chat function here in Zoom to ask us anything that pertains to the subject matter. By the way, feel free to use that chat function at any point during the presentation, but be aware that we'll start addressing questions once the presentation is over. If your question does not get answered in the course of the Q&A, don't worry, we will catch that immediately after the webinar in the review session that we do every week. We'll open a ticket for you, and a support engineer will be in touch very shortly thereafter to answer your question or questions. Please keep in mind this is a general information session. We encourage one-on-one interaction on any subject outside of the webinar if you feel that's necessary. This is, again, a weekly event. We host meetings like this online every Wednesday at this time. If you are on our mailing list, you'll receive a separate invitation each week. And we are also planning to have a few in-person sessions at the Clean Show in Atlanta that's coming right up. Please note that the meeting is being recorded so we can continue to offer you the best quality service in the industry. The recording will be available to you as of this Friday, and previous recordings are available on our YouTube channel. If you haven't been to our YouTube channel, go there and check it out, sign up. You'll get notifications as new content is added. Lastly, we're always excited for feedback from you. Right after the webinar is done, you'll receive a very, very brief survey, brief but important. If you take just a minute of your time to fill it out, it will help us make these events better for you in the future. You are also welcome to email us webinars@smartsystems.com. That's webinars plural at smrtsystems.com. Anytime we love getting feedback from you, your thoughts and ideas on how these events can be even better and more informative. So with all this out of the way, let's move into the main event. Let me introduce Josh Nye, our head of product, who is once again with us this week, as he was last week. This week, he is going to present the third and the final installment in our routes series. The first two installments, as I mentioned, are available on our YouTube channel if you missed those live. And Josh will talk about the pickup and delivery interfaces in Smart and the various benefits of using both. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Art. Great handoff as always. Welcome, everybody. So today we're going to talk about the delivery app and all the benefits and functionality and little features that exist in it that you may not know of, whether you're using the app already or you're using paper manifests and are interested in switching, or you're not doing routes at all. This will still be really informative and helpful and kind of guiding you on the functionality that exists within Smart in terms of the delivery app itself. So the first screen that I want to talk about is the load van list. So the load van list shows all the orders that a driver has to deliver for that particular day that are ready and at the store. And it'll also show them where in the store the items are, what type of items they are. The first setting I want to talk about is the list in order or in reverse order. So by default, the list displays in the stop order of that particular route, whether you're optimizing or not optimizing. The orders display in the order of the route. However, some drivers like to load their van in reverse order so that the first stop is closest to the back door of the van. And that way, by loading in reverse order, at the first stop, they open the back doors, and that first customer's order is right there. So the way to get there is to go to change this setting rather, is to go to settings, business settings, system settings, and then company settings, and delivery app, load list, last stop first. So if you turn that on, it'll reverse the order so the last stop is the first stop on your load list here. So To get here, obviously, you go to the delivery portion of the app, you pick your route, and you go to load delivery, and it reverses the order. So that's the first setting. And then the next thing I want to talk about is the icons in the app. So this icon here indicates that it's a hanging order. This icon here indicates that it's a wash and fold order. And this icon here indicates that it's either a boxed or folded item. And with households, especially, a lot of the time they're by default boxed or put in some sort of packaging. But without a box or fold special care on them, you're not going to get this icon, and you're going to get a hanger icon. So you may want to set up a preference or a special care for your households to automatically apply a fold or a boxed special care to them. But you can then, using the item overrides in the price list, change that fold or box upcharge for the household items to $0. So you're not charging anymore, but you're still getting that differentiation within the load list. So if you have any questions about that, reach out to support, and we'll be happy to help you set up a preference that triggers fold or box for zero price on all your households, or any other items that by default go into a bag or a box, and you want them to display with this icon. So then the next thing I want to talk about is optimization and the load list. The biggest question that comes up whenever someone is considering switching from a static route where the stop numbers are the stop numbers, and it's always in the same relative order depending on the people that cancel or the will calls that get added. They go, how do I get my driver to get the items into his van and find the items? Because right now I just put them in stop order, and so we don't need anybody special to do that. It's just whoever's assembling or bagging, when they put away the items on the route line, they put them in the stop order with that stop number, using the stop number that's on the assembly ticket or the invoice. So the way to handle that is there's two options really, and it depends on how you're storing your orders that are going to go out on a route. So, but in general, it's you put them in alphabetical order, and then the driver, using the load list, looks at the first stop, and in this case it's Will Byers. So he goes to the B section, grabs Will's orders, put them onto a Z-rack, or puts them in the van, or moves them to the front of the line, and that way you can still use optimization. You lose those stop numbers, but it may take the driver a little bit extra time to grab those orders before they leave, but then you're gaining that extra time by them not being on the road as much, they're not using as much gas, et cetera, et cetera. So that's one way to do it if you're using lines to organize your routes. Now, if you're using a conveyor, you just have a section of the conveyor or the entire conveyor where you scan the orders onto that conveyor. And then rather than it saying route rail 1 or route rail 2, it'll give you the conveyor locations. And so the driver can grab a Z-rack, pull it over to the conveyor. If the first location is 100, he spins the conveyor to 100, grabs Will's orders, takes them off. The next stop is Smart Systems, so maybe that's on location 50, spin the conveyor to 50, pull them off, put them on the Z-rack, and so forth. And so both those options, or both of those methods, are ways to allow the driver to not be running around like a chicken with his head cut off looking for orders when you lose the stop numbers that you have with a static route, and then you gain the efficiency of optimization. So it requires scan setting. So this is on by default. No, actually, I think it's off by default, but turning it on prevents the ability to do this, where a driver can just click on an order and click load. It requires that they actually scan the barcode with the camera. And the benefit that you get there is that the driver cannot override an order by just clicking it and loading it. And the reason you'd want to do that, especially if you have drivers that like to think they know everything. I've been a few like that. But it requires them to scan everything so that, let's say you've got a customer, this actually happened to me. Let's say you got a customer that has 26 orders, and they scan 25 of them, and it says, there's one left. They go, oh, well, I got all their orders. And so they can just say, oh yeah, this one for Doug Baldwin, I already have it. Like, I'm going to load it. I was in Michigan or Maryland somewhere, and this setting also applies to the actual delivery stop when the driver's scanning out the customer's orders. So the driver comes back from his first day and he goes, "Man, I didn't want to scan all that stuff, but I scanned it all, and it's for some reason it says I've got one left over." And I'm like, "Well, you didn't scan that one. That's why." He goes, "No, I scanned everything." I go, "Let's go look in your truck." And sure enough, there's a tie in a box on his dashboard. That's that missing 26th order. And so by requiring the drivers to scan, you're guaranteeing, full accountability, full tracking of every single order, even a pesky tie on the dashboard. Oh, and that setting is in settings, business settings, system settings. And I believe production settings require company settings, manual. Sorry, production settings. Remove possibility to manually pick up bag and delivery app. So this will require the driver scans and remove that option to click and then load, or to click and then deliver. And then the last two things I want to talk about are filters and incomplete orders. So at the top of the load list, if there's any incomplete orders, there'll be another button here that says incomplete orders. You click that, it shows you the orders, and then you can go to a computer and look up the order number. Forgot to add one for you guys, so sorry about that. But for filters, there's a range of options here. So you can filter by an individual customer, or if you have sub routes set up, let's say you've got multiple brands, ABC Cleaners, John's high-end cleaners, and Mark's cleaners or something. One driver can deliver all of those orders under one route, which gives you massive efficiency. And then in this filter section, you'll be able to filter by sub route and view all the orders for a particular sub route or for a customer. So if I want to see all the orders for smart systems, I just click on it and it shows me those particular orders. So let's say you've got a massive condo or a cruise ship office building you need to go deliver to, and for some reason they need it urgently. So you just go to the filter section, click on that sub route or that particular customer, scan all their orders, go run that, and then come back and finish off the rest of your route. The next thing I want to talk about are the two additional options on the kind of the intermediary screen of each route. So we've got build route and add stop. What build route allows you to do is take the phone and scan an order that is not on that driver's manifest. So maybe a driver called out sick and you need to split up the deliveries, or a high-end client, let's say, Meryl Streep needs an order delivered ASAP, but she's normally a store customer. You can just go to build route, scan her order. Oh, man, thought I had that working. 1 second, guys. Sorry about that. There we go, Meryl Streep. So now we've added her stop to the manifest, and the system will just use the coordinates of her address to determine the best stop for that customer. Or if the customer, for some reason, is on the route that you're on, but maybe they cancel and now they don't want to cancel, they'll just put them on the stop that they already have if you're using a static stops and not optimization. The add stop button is for when a driver either gets a call from the office from a particular customer that contacts them directly, or someone comes out of their house that's a neighbor of one of your other customers, but they're a will call customer because they're not very regular, but maybe their neighbor is a regular. Driver goes, delivers to the regular, and the neighbor comes out, and so you need to add them to the manifest. So you go to add stop, you go to the search bar here, and let's say it's Harrison Ford. Click on their name. You can add any instructions if you want. Harrison says, I crashed my airplane again. So everything is covered in oil. So those are the cleaning instructions that'll then pop up on the on the order when it gets back to the plant for the detailers. And you can go back to your route. The next thing I want to highlight is the photography ability within the delivery app and within an individual stop. So we've got two examples here, and one is for our office, and it's the delivery items location. So we've got a note, it's got a picture, it says, ring doorbell and deliver to coat rack inside. We've got a picture of the door within the office building that shows the doorbell there. And so when the driver's in the app, they can click on it. And get it in a bigger view. And then when they're done, they can hit the check mark, know where they're going and deliver it. In this case here, we've got an order, kind of hard to see here, but the note that the driver left says, no answer, left at the front door. So they delivered, looks like 3 bags of wash and fold to the front door. They took a picture of it to confirm the delivery. So in some cities, you can't leave the orders on the front porch. In some cases you can. But if the customer generally accepts the order from the driver, but they're okay with you leaving it, it's still really important to track where you left it, get a timestamp and a visual image of that delivery so that they can't dispute it. The other thing, the reason that we added this actually was that 4 years ago, I was testing out our new version of the app, and I was driving around San Francisco, and the addresses on the houses and on the curbs are really hard to see because of all the trees and just the strange nature of San Francisco. And so I was writing these detailed notes, Mark Jones, or it has a greenhouse with white trim and a red door. And for every single house that I had trouble finding, I wrote down a very detailed note of what it looked like. So the next time I went back, I didn't have trouble. Then I was like, oh, wait a minute, why don't I just take a picture? And so we added that ability. This is especially helpful when you have a scenario like that where it's not very easy to determine what room in an office or what house you're delivering to, and you've got a substitute driver in, whether that's the owner taking over for the driver that quit, called out sick, or just a driver that runs another route and is subbing in for the regular driver. And the way that you take a picture, by the way, is you go to notes, pick a category or leave it as any category, write in a message if you want to, and then hit this picture button. It'll open up the camera, take the picture, and then they save the note. And then these are also carried over into the POS. So if we go to Smart Systems, we've got this note here, and we can pull up that picture and see it in the POS. You can also edit the note from here. The next feature I want to talk about is requiring signature on delivery. So it's very rare that every single stop you're going to require a signature for, but certain condos, offices, and especially hotels, it's definitely beneficial to get a signature from the doorman or the housekeeping manager that's receiving the orders. And so the way that you enable this is you go to the way you enable this on the individual's account is you go to the account, you click on their name, you go to settings, you go to company settings, and you go to require signature on delivery, and you check that box. Now what this does is when you're in the delivery app and you deliver an order and you hit done, it then brings up this screen where you can draw with your finger or hand the phone or the tablet to the individual receiving the item, and they can sign off on the delivery. This also gives you a record of it for that particular stop. So let's say they call and they say, we didn't receive this order, blah, 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 blah. You can go back to the delivery history and go, oh, okay, the delivery for July 13th on Wednesday. You click on that, and then over on the left side, you'll get this, the geolocation as well as the signature. So, oh no, Fertil signed for this. In this case, for the stop that I just did, Josh, or here's the signature that's signed for it. And you also get the geolocation here of where they were when they hit the done button on that particular stop, and you can zoom out and zoom in. Also below, it'll show you the delivered bags, so you can see the orders that were delivered, the time they were delivered, and where on a map that driver was when they hit the done button. A lot of you are probably using bag tags on bags, meaning that a customer has an express bag, a laundry bag, whatever you call it, and it's got a hard card on it, or a thermal receipt slip that's got their name and a barcode, and that bag is uniquely theirs. This creates a problem in production because there's only two ways really to handle that. One, you detail the item, the bag rather, then you have to assemble that. Because the bag isn't being cleaned, it's going to move at a different speed through production than the clothing is. So if you're putting a barcode on the bag and then assembling it, if you're using a conveyor, you got to be very careful when you assemble those bags because of that difference in speed of production. So if you scan them too soon, you lock up slots on the conveyor, and means the conveyor is spinning more as clothes arrive, and it takes longer for that slot to finish because it's waiting for clothes that aren't going to arrive until the next day or maybe 2 days in some cases. And the other problem is if you don't scan them soon enough, then the clothes are sitting on the conveyor waiting to take up space. If you're doing paper tagging, it's less of a problem to actually mark them in, but it's still just kind of a nightmare to manage every individual customer's bag. So, and then the third way is to just not mark them in and then put them on a hook or something. And then the driver will take the bags and put them over each order. I like that method better because it doesn't affect your production, but it's just more time that the driver has to spend managing those bags. So if you use a Bluetooth printer, and these printers are great, the battery lasts on a full charge over a day sometimes too, and they have a car charger for them, and they're super durable, and they're rubberized, so if you drop them, they're fine. They also have a belt clip, so the driver can just put it on their belt. And the way that this works is when you go to a stop in the delivery app, so let's say we go to Zac Efron and we've got a new pickup for him, cleaning, maybe leave a note or don't leave a note. When you have a printer connected and you hit the create button, it prints out a quick ticket that you can then put in the bag with the order. So that means that you can give out a bag without a name on it, and when you pick it up, you identify it by putting a drop ticket within it. Now, if you feel like the customers may not like that they're getting a bag without a name on it, you can also print out a bag tag when you deliver. So when you deliver, you throw a generic bag over it, print out a bag tag, like so. Well, I've got another set, but this button normally says bag tag. You click that, prints out your bag tag, and then you put that with the generic bag, and the customer is none the wiser that they're just getting some random bag. And so then when you pick it up, you get that back with the customer's identification on it. This also solves the problem of when a customer leaves out an order for you to pick up, but it's not in their normal express bag, either because they lost it, they don't have one, or they have too many items to fit in one bag, and they just put out in a trash bag. Having this printer allows you to print out something that's a identifier with a barcode on it, customer's name, and put it with those items. So if you don't like this idea, but you still want to do generic bags, there's another option we have here. It's a new option. It's called generic laundry bag. So let's say we deliver to Will Byers, and we've got a bunch of bags in the truck. All the bags have a barcode on them, but they're not assigned to any particular customer, and they don't have anybody's name on it, but they have a barcode on them. So you deliver the orders. Great. Now you go to this assign button. What this allows you to do is to scan that barcode on those laundry bags that don't belong to anybody. And so scan a bag tag, scan the barcode on a bag, and now it assigns this barcode to Will Byers. So you give him his order delivered with a new bag that you scanned. Now, next time you pick up from Will, you just scan that barcode on the bag and it automatically creates an order for Will. And then when it goes back to the plant, you scan it, it opens up Will's account, has that order there, you start detailing it. Once you close the order, it breaks that association of the bag to Will, and it can be used again for a different customer when you deliver it to someone else. And so that's called the generic laundry bag mode. If you have any questions about that, reach out to support and we're happy to help set it up for you. It does require a bit of legwork getting it going because you have to barcode all of your laundry bags. It may make sense to start with a fresh set of laundry bags, and we can print you heat seals that are different from your normal range of the heat seals that you put on your garments for that. So within the mobile app, there's also the functionality of racking. So from the home screen, go to racking, and it works just like racking in the POS. You scan a location, scan as many orders as you want. So some of you use this on phones within the plant or within your stores, rather than using a wireless scanner to rack. But when in the context of delivery, there's some additional advantages here. So one scenario is you go to Josh's house, he's got a long flight of stairs, a bunch of orders, and you don't want to fool around scanning the orders at his doorstep, but you got to deliver it to him. So go to the back of the van, you scan all the orders out for delivery, and you walk him up to his door, but he's on vacation and he didn't let you know. So you got to take them back down to the van. Now, normally the driver just puts them in the truck, drives them back, and when they get back, they're, hey, I didn't deliver these, but I scanned them out. If you use the racking app, the driver can then scan a barcode in their van. So, Matt's van, scan that barcode, then scan the orders that were just marked delivered, but were not able to be delivered. And then you get that additional tracking of, okay, the driver attempted to deliver, he scanned them out, no one home, scan them back into the van. Not many people do that, but I like the tracking that it gives you because, especially if you have a scenario where you bring back, 5 of 6 orders and they get scanned back into the store, but one's missing. If you're scanning back into the van, you can figure out where along the way that piece went missing. So if the driver went to Josh's house, scanned him out, couldn't deliver, scanned him back into the van, and then only 5 of the 6 made it back to the plant were scanned, that 6th order has to have been delivered to one of the stops after Josh because it didn't get back to the plant, but it was in the truck. So that's why scanning to the van after you have to undo a delivery is valuable. The next scenario is that same exact scenario, but you don't scan it back to the van. The driver brings orders back to the store, maybe you have a barcode in the loading area. They just scan that barcode and then they scan the orders that they were unable to deliver, and it keeps them marked as paid if they're paid, and then but just re-racks them to whatever location the driver is scanned. Then the third application of this feature is for your shuttle drivers. So a lot of you have multiple stores, and sometimes orders go missing after they've been assembled and racked to staging. A shuttle driver can put a barcode in the van or a barcode at the door where they exit the building, scan that barcode that says, in shuttle, scan all the orders they're taking, and then scan them to the store that they arrive at when they deliver them. And an additional advantage there is that when the driver they scan the shuttle, that they're in that shuttle van. When they get to the store and they scan them to just a generic, at store 5 location. When scanning to that at store 5 location, you'll immediately get a wrong store warning if you've scanned if any of the orders don't belong at store 5. The second to last feature here that I want to highlight is this reports button. And so a lot of the times drivers have to go to a computer to pull up a report regarding their route or something. But if you assign KPIs to a driver, this button will show reports, and they'll have access to whatever reports you've assigned them, and also whatever reports are for that store that they are logged into. And so when the driver is on the home screen, they click reports. these are all the different tags. So I'm going to go to personal KPIs, and I've assigned 3 different reports here. So we've got declines, and then we've got inactive customers that are regulars, and we got route customers with no CC. If they click on that, it opens up a list here. And because of the screen size, you want to keep your columns to kind of a minimum. But in this scenario, what we're seeing is customers that are set up as regular route customers that haven't used you for over 30 days. And so this is letting the driver know that maybe they need to move these customers to will call or reach out to the customer and say, hey, we miss you, what's going on? But whatever information you feel is important for your driver to see on their phone without them going to a computer, reach out to our support team. We'll help you set up the KPIs and then help you assign them to the driver. But the way that you assign them to the driver is you go to home screen, settings, employees, pick your employee, go to the admin tab, and then go to personal KPIs and add whatever you want. And now these reports will appear for that driver in their phone. So if you've got a lot of routes and certain drivers want to do certain routes, maybe you make KPIs that are relative to only those routes and then assign them to only those drivers. The last feature I want to highlight here is the ability to clock in remotely. So in general, what I've seen is that people don't like to have this setting on, because if the driver has their phone at home, they don't want them to clock in before they've actually got to work or clock out after they've gotten home. Now, if you trust your drivers, there's an efficiency to be gained here, especially with hotels or any scenario where you're doing a pickup early in the morning and the first thing you do is pickups. So you can have the driver take the van home, or if you have your vans parked in a parking lot that's not near your facility, which I've seen in densely populated urban areas, you can allow the driver to clock in remotely from their phone, hop in their truck, do their pickups, get to the plant, rather than going to the plant, clocking in, and then going to the pickups. So it's not an option that I imagine a lot of you are going to entrust your drivers with, but there is an opportunity there for you if you've got, 1, trust with your drivers, and 2, there's a logistical efficiency to be gained by allowing them to start not at one of your facilities. Q&A time. Thank you, guys.
Thanks very much, Josh. And of course, Josh's knowledge of the software is so immense that knowing his audience very well, he usually anticipates questions and builds in the answers right into the presentation. But nonetheless, we do have a couple of things that have accumulated in the chat. Again, just a reminder, you are welcome to use the chat function to ask any questions that pertain to the subject matter. The first question is there what's the best way to make sure that the driver has scanned all orders for delivery? Our driver will miss scanning an order at the customer's home, and that missed scan will cause the customer to not get a text message on the next pickup/delivery day.
That's a great question, and I wish I had thought of that before this webinar. So the best way to do that is to create a report and 1, assign it to the driver, but 2, also put it on a KPI dashboard. And the report that I would make would be an item report that has all items in the status delivery. And what this means is, so who do we have on our manifest here? Meryl Streep, actually. So this status here, delivery on the item, this means that this item is in the van. And the only way to get out of this status is either to be racked back to a storage location at one of your facilities, or to be delivered, or to manually pick it up if the driver just forgot to scan it and you don't want to have them scan it. So we can make a KPI for each route that has all the items with status delivery. And when the driver gets back at the end of the day, there should be no orders with this status, because it means that there's orders, that the system thinks there's orders in the van. So reach out to our support team and ask for an item report that just lists items with the item status delivery.
Thanks. And of course, that goes for any of the functions that Josh has gone over. If you would like some assistance turning those on or configuring them, please reach out to our support team. This question came in from an outside source. After you capture the customer signature at delivery, if that's what you're doing, is there a way to email that capture and the accompanying delivery information to the customer on request?
So in our pipeline, we have an automation that will automatically email the manifest for that day's delivery with the signature on it um, to the customer. It's not ready yet, but the best way is just to go to the history, pull it up, and it'll be over here, and you can just right click it and download it. That's not super great right now, but it'll be in the delivery history for that stop, and then you can access it there and take a screenshot of it, take a picture with your phone, or right click it and download the image and then send it to them.
Thanks. And then a clarification also from an outside channel on the new generic laundry bag option. Does that generic laundry bag, the barcode, does that disassociate from the customer's account automatically? And at which point, or do you have to remember to dissociate it with?
It disassociates automatically after you close the order that was made by scanning it at pickup. And if you let's say you make a mistake and you assign a bag to Josh, but it should have been assigned to Art, you can just scan it again and override that assignment. So maybe you have a bag that you inadvertently scanned in the truck, you deliver it Josh in his bag, but for some reason when you scan two bags on accident, you only deliver one bag to Josh.
And looks like we might have lost Josh.
Josh, it's now assigned to.
Oh.
Hello?
Hey, we lost you there for a moment. There was a bit of a hiccup.
Oh yeah, so
but
the gist of it is
like
you can override any accidental scan and it automatically disassociates after closing the order.
Okay, great. That is all for questions. Let's wait a few moments to give anyone a chance to use the chat function for more questions if you'd like. And again, you are always welcome to email us webinars@smartsystems.com. It's a good place to start. If you're not sure specifically where your help needs to come from, then we'll be sure to direct it in to the right people in the right channel. Very well. Just a few thoughts in closing. By this Friday, you should be getting a recording of this webinar, and that will be part of our YouTube channel. If you haven't been there yet, that was a great time to check it out and subscribe, so you get notifications of new content. We add other things to that, not just the recordings of webinars. As mentioned before, you'll be receiving a very, very brief survey at the end of this, just a few questions that will only take a minute of your time and will help us make these events better and more informative for you. And then we hope to see you again next week, which you'll get a separate invitation for. Thank you very much for joining us today. Have a great day, and we'll hope to see you again.